What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Residual Earners Podcast. This is episode 8. I'm Jordan,
I'm Presley.
and we are happy to have you here today for episode 8. We're going to go over the 10 traits of leaders, the 10 traits that every leader needs to have to be successful.
This can't be episode 8.
It's episode 8. We're just moving right along.
Does time fly or what?
Time flies. We're excited. We're in the studio. We have a new camera rolling. You may notice it may look a little bit better than the old one. The old one was good.
Yeah.
But we always are striving to get better.
Yeah, and we got Jim back there operating the camera too. We wouldn't be using that camera if it wasn't for Jim. How's that?
But moving forward, I think we're going to be able to know how to use it and do it for each episode.
So you think you figured it out?
I haven't figured out a lot, but power and record. That's as far as I've gotten so far, and we'll see where we go from there.
And we've also kind of got our manager here, Bears Jahanian. I mean, he is here helping us out as well.
It's full production today.
I mean,
we can't mess.
Do you feel big time?
Oh, I feel big time. We can't mess this one up. This is what we live for at the Residual Earners Podcast.
Well, all right. 10 traits of leaders. By the way, guys, that is in my Be, Do, and Have More book if you're interested in getting more detail than what we give you today. And I'll say it again, any profits from these books goes to charity, guys. I don't make my living selling books, but it's there for you if you're interested. So I'm excited about what we're going to go over today. Number one, guys, leaders are forward looking. The Bible says without vision, the people perish. And if you're a leader, and we all can be leaders, by the way, don't think you can't be. Yes, you can. But leaders are the ones that cast the vision. Leaders are the ones that know where the train's headed. And that is so key because they've got to get that across to the team of where they're wanting to go, Jordo.
Definitely. And I'm back after our last podcast of the 10 best books for success, reading Good to Great again. And it talks so in depth about being a leader, what's expected of a leader, and what makes a great leader, and how a great leader really, pushes an organization forward and gets them where they want to go.
Well, and you can look, at our car business or any other business, networking business. It doesn't really matter. You've got to have somebody at the top that is directing, somebody at the top that is casting the vision to the team.
Definitely.
That is so key, is to get the team knowing where you're trying to go. And it's one of those things where I think most leaders know what they're trying to accomplish. Now, understand, your dream can change a little bit. You can be adjusting your dreams and goals as you go, but you've got to have that. Number 2, leaders empower others to act. I think that's part of getting the dream cast to the whole team. The other thing I think leaders are great at, Jordo, is they recognize diamonds in the rough.
Yes.
When you've got a team, you're not just looking at the team members where they are now. You're looking at the team members where they can get, because we have so much potential in us. I mean, God made us great, and we just got to pull that greatness out. But I think a leader sees that greatness in the team members and really works to pull that out.
Correct. And big on empowering others. It's listening to others as well. Listening to people that are on your team, listening to ideas, being approachable, and that's how you empower others for success.
Yes. And understand, I believe this is key, guys, that you want to have the individual members of the team's best interest at heart.
Yes.
I think that's a key. The other thing that I'm going to tell you right now, that if you'll do this, it'll make a big difference, and that is when your team has success, cast that success down to the team members.
Yeah.
And if your team has a problem, you take the problem as the leader, but send success down and you take the problems. I think that is huge when you're a leader. You don't want to be the leader, and if you have a problem, you start blaming people. Now, it could be somebody's fault. I'm not saying it couldn't. But, if that's the case, you pull them into your office and privately you talk to them about what might have happened. But I think it is key that as a leader, we accept the blame when there's issues, and we give the team the credit when there's success.
Definitely. And I think it's one of those things that it may be overlooked, but that's how you build a positive culture. when you're building up your team, when you're recognizing their successes, and if something goes wrong, you're the first one to step in and say, hey, I got this one. It builds a positive culture. You're leading by example. It does so many things to really boost the morale of your team.
Kind of see if you can give an example of that in sports. I mean, when you were pitching and somebody makes an error, do you scream at them and holler at them, or I mean, how do you handle that stuff?
Definitely. It's just like in business, it's a team game, and we all make mistakes, and we all do things that they're bonehead mistakes, and it's how you rebound from that and say, hey, I got you, I'm going to pick you up here. It's not the end of the world. We're still in this thing, so let's go. And there's plenty of times that I'm the one that made the bonehead mistake and had other people pick me up. One of my highlights from playing was back in the super regional, and where I'm going with this. It was Arizona State where I played versus Arkansas, and we're in the super regional to go to the World Series. And I'm the closer. I get 2 outs in the ninth inning, and
Two strikeouts, by the way.
Brett Eibner's up, who's there. Zach Cox was hitting the 3-hole. Eibner was hitting 4, and get him down 0-2. My pitch was a hard slider. I loved it. I blew 2 fastballs by him to start, hang a slider high. It's ball 1. And then I think, well, I hung it high. I'm going to throw one low, hang another one, and he hits it over the fence in a 3-2 game at the time. That was made it 3-3. And that was obviously a low point. But the team rallied around me, picked me up. Plenty of leaders on a top tier team like that, and I was able to stay in for another 4 innings and end up getting the win in that game in the 13th. But you're going to do stuff, and it's how people around you pick you up, or how when somebody else makes a mistake, how you rebound them, pick them up, and get them back going.
Wasn't it Drew Maggi that got the game winner
Yeah.
in that game? I'll say this about Jordan, then we'll move to our next point, and that is, I asked him after the game, I said, so you gave up the homer, ties the game. What were you thinking? And I can still remember this. You looked at me and you said, I was thinking I couldn't give up another run.
Couldn't give it up another run. And that was a big game. If you're not familiar with college baseball, super regionals are huge. Our stadium was sold out. I think we had 10,000 there. It's on ESPN. It's a big game, and to come out with the win was awesome.
Well, I kidded with Jordan. I said, instead of just getting 3 outs of camera time, you got to pitch like 5 innings.
Yeah. Usually I just got 1 inning at a time. So that was being the closer. You just come in for the 9th. So that was kind of nice to get a little more airtime.
Amen. All right. Number 3, guys, leaders do what they want their team to do. Something you're going to find out in life, especially in networking, and I think even in other areas of life. We live a monkey see, monkey do business, and if your team is watching you, which they are, they're gonna try to copy what you're doing. And I think it is so key that you set the example. You show them how and what and everything that you want them to be doing. And if you will do that, then they'll start mimicking you. And that is such a key.
Correct. I mean, it's always lead by example. We've heard that our whole lives, and it's so key. And I think people don't do it. And that's what really separates, I think, great leaders from good leaders, is leading by example.
Yeah, and going back to the sports analogy, I would, being a basketball coach, I would always push my better players just a little bit harder, because I always knew that they were the leaders of my team. And if the other guys saw them working hard, if the other guys saw them diving on the floor, taking charges, doing the little things to win, then I knew that if they saw the captain of the team doing that they would follow suit. And I think it is so key that as the leader, you want to set the example. You want to set the pace. You want to be the one that shows people what to do. I think if you're lazy and you're the leader, that's not going to set a good example for your team. I think
and it casts down to everybody.
it does. It does. And, again, that's why I would always push the captains of my team harder, is because I knew that would set the example for the entire team. All right. Number 4, leaders must have the will to win, guys. And I think this is key. And I actually think that goes back to what Jordan told me when he'd give up that home run. He just said, I know I couldn't give up another run. And, having the will to win is really goes back to a phrase I always love, and that is when the going gets tough, the tough get going.
That's it.
When the going gets tough, the tough don't quit.
Correct.
And I think that is huge.
Because in a leadership position, the team's looking at you to see what you're going to do. And if you cave, if you show the negative emotion, if you look beat, that goes to everybody, and nobody's going to put in the effort they were going to put in due to how the leader reacted.
Yeah, and a couple of things are going through my mind right now. One is watch your body language.
Correct.
It is not so much what you say to the team, but they're watching your body language. And if you have a defeated body language, then that is not good. I'm going to go over a quick little story. A guy named Kenny Trout started a company called Excel, and I was part of that company. And my gosh, years later, he sold it for like his part was like $1.4 billion. So Kenny took this startup company and took it to where it was worth billions of dollars. But Kenny would always say that the reason more people aren't successful is that they're only halfway in. Well, if you're only halfway in, Kenny would say, that means you're also halfway out. And, I think as a leader, you've got to make that total commitment. I mean, you've got to jump in the deep end. You've got to have failure is not an option. And I think that is so key. I think in our world, so many people just kind of stick their toe in the water and see how the temperature is. You can't stick your toe in the water if you're the leader. If you're the leader, you've got to go all the way in.
Yeah, think win-win. We've been over that before.
We have gone over that many times. Your attitude, guys, is going to determine your altitude. It's not your aptitude. Let me say that again. It's your attitude, not your aptitude, that's going to ultimately determine your altitude. And I believe that with every fiber in me, that it's all about the attitude. It's all about that. I'm not going to allow us to lose.
Correct.
Just having that will to fight. And you see it in sports all the time.
Definitely.
I mean, guys that come to mind are Magic Johnson. I mean, he just had a will to win. Larry Bird, my gosh, I don't think a guy had more will to win than Larry Bird. I mean, Michael Jordan, my gosh, he willed the Bulls to 6 championships. Obviously great player, but it was more than just his ability. He had that desire, and just you could see it in his eyes that he just was not going to lose. And my gosh, he made it to 6 finals and won 6 finals, which is kind of unheard of outside of a guy named Bill Russell that won 11 championships out of 13 years. But I think that's
you're not going to give any love to Luka Magic.
Well, I'll say this:
there's no championships.
He hadn't won a championship
yet. 24.
But I'll say this: he's got the second highest scoring average in the playoffs to Michael Jordan, and that says something. I mean, he raises his game. I think some leaders just have that it factor. And I think Luka will end up winning some championships before it's all said and done. But it's obvious when you see, whether it be a business team or a sports team or a network marketing team, you just pick out the leader that you can just tell they've got that it factor.
Definitely.
And guys, I'm going to tell you, you can have that it factor too, but it's going to take you kind of listening to what we're talking about today as far as the traits of a successful leader, and start applying those in your life. But
let's go one more thing.
Sure.
That I don't want it overlooked from everybody listening. It's total commitment. You can't be, you said it, you can't be halfway in, you can't be halfway out. You've got to dedicate. If you want to gain success and you're starting something up, a normal business, whatever it may be, you've got to put in the hours, put in the work, and nothing is going to come easy. If you really want to get to the top of the mountain, it's going to take time. It's going to take effort, blood, sweat, tears, all of the above. And you're doing stuff that you don't necessarily want to be doing. What's the saying that the magic you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding? That's something we've learned over the last few weeks. We learned that phrase, and it's so true. It is so true.
Well, and I watched how hard you work. And guys, Jordan was an amazing baseball player in high school. He was National Player of the Year. In college, he was an All-American, and then he went in the second round of the Cardinals. But I watched all the hours that you put in the weight room and taking BP, and I mean, just it was amazing, taking grounder after grounder after grounder, and it takes that work. And I'll end with this on this point that I've been blessed to have some success in network marketing, but I think it boils down to when I got involved, Jeannie and I were struggling financially. We were literally at a point where we could have lost our house. So when I saw it and I liked the company that I was looking at and I felt like it had legs, I burned the boats.
Yeah.
I mean, my back was against the wall. Either I made this work or we may be filing bankruptcy. And it forced me to go all in. It forced me to make that total commitment. And I think that is one of my keys. And I tell folks, I hope you're not in the position I was in with Jeannie, but I'll say this. If you're not in that position, act as if.
Correct.
Burn the boats anyway. I mean, just burn the boats, and you don't even think there's another option. You make whatever you're doing, whatever you've decided is your chosen path, then make that the only option. And I believe when we make that total commitment, that great and mighty forces come to our aid, which obviously is the good Lord. But I think it takes us making that total commitment before we get that help.
Yeah.
So I'm going to challenge you. Make that total commitment. Leaders must have the will to win. All right, number 5. Leaders begins with the person, not the position. And I think this is so key. We've seen people probably in our lives that they're in a position, but they really shouldn't be in that position. I think you garner respect from folks not by the title you carry, but by the person you are.
Yeah.
If people look at you and they know that you've got great character, that you've got honor in your life, that you do things right, that you're leading by example, that you're doing all that stuff, that's where you become the leader. Now, obviously, a title's fine, but I think it comes long before you get the title.
Definitely. And the person that comes to mind with that is your buddy Jim Campbell, who you were with last night. Just an amazing person, amazing human being. Leads by example, has been very successful, but is still just the same Jim that we've all grown to love over the years.
Yeah, Jim's phenomenally successful financially, but he's phenomenally successful with his family. He loves the Lord. He's got that spiritual aspect of his life down. I mean, he's a total success. And when you're around him, you realize that and you pick up on that. And it's not his title that makes him the leader. It's him. I mean, it is just him that does it. What I want to point out to everybody is people join people. They don't really join companies. And that's something you got to keep in mind, whether you're hiring people for a company or whether you're recruiting people for a network marketing business. People join people. Go ahead.
And
You want to say
leaders
something?
leaders attract people. That's
Yes.
that's kind of where I was going with that. Back to Jim. If I ever have a chance to hang out with Jim, I always take advantage of it because you want to be around him. You want. I don't know if it's you want to learn a little bit that day. You just enjoy being around these people. They have that attitude that just brings you in and makes you want to hang out with them any chance you get, and just pick up a little nugget, just have a laugh, whatever it may be that day. You just want to be around these type people, these type leaders.
Yeah. There are people that put out that positive vibe. And let me say this, guys: people are going to follow the person first and the vision second. It's that that's just the way it goes. And I, I think we can all relate to this. Somebody pulls up in front of your house. Now, if they're a positive person, you're excited for them to be
Yeah.
there. You start feeling energy before they ever get to the front door. You can't wait to start visiting and talking, kind of like Jim.
Yeah.
And then there's also people that pull up in front of your house and you feel them sucking the life out of you before they ever get out of the car. I mean, but understand, people do not follow negative, dull, disillusioned, frustrated crybabies. Randy Hedge says this all the time, but he says if you'll get fired up, people will come from miles around to watch you burn. And that is the truth, guys. So I'm going to just say it. We need to be the person that deserves that title.
Yeah.
Eh,
And one thing on, it begins with the person and not the position. Leaders do what they're supposed to be doing when other people aren't watching. And I think that's key to getting ahead in the game. Even when nobody's around, when no eyes are on you, leaders are still working hard in the background, getting done what has to be done.
Oh, absolutely. A leader is a person that other people want to follow.
Correct.
Um, if you're out in front and you look around and nobody's behind you, you're not leading. You're just out on a walk. So be the person. And you know, I'll throw a couple of things in that's not even in my notes. But guys, the way we become the better leaders by growing as a person, by reading the good books. Like last podcast, we went over our 10
Correct.
books. Start reading good books. Start watching leaders on YouTube. Personal growth giants. Start doing that. And the biggest key is run with winners. And if you'll start doing that, you'll start growing as a person. And then all of a sudden, people are going to want to be around you. They're gonna want to do that. And our number 6 point really plays into this, and that is leaders must have passion. And that kind of goes back to what I said a minute ago. Randy said, if you'll get fired up, people will come from miles around to watch you burn. If you're running around and you got a sourpuss look on your face and you look like your dog always got ran over, I mean, it's just people don't want to be around folks like that,
No.
guys. And
And we can all think of those people in our lives.
oh, absolutely. And am I saying that we don't ever have a bad day? No, I'm not saying we don't ever have a bad day. We all do. But overall, 99% of the time, you've got to be upbeat and positive and be looking at things the right way. If there's no passion, then that is a key to mediocrity.
Yeah.
I think passion is, my gosh, it is a foundation to having massive success.
Definitely. And I know we go back to sports quite a bit, but man, I played with the passion. I love guys that played with the passion, sometimes a little too passionate. Especially in the business setting. You've got to control that more than you do on a sports field. But passion is key. And like you said, passion, if you don't have it, it leads to mediocrity. It just doesn't lead anywhere. In my opinion, you have to have that burning fire inside of you to gain success in whatever field you're in.
No, absolutely. And I put in my notes passion equals enthusiasm, focus, and energy. I think passion is when a leader has that passion inside, that just almost makes them unstoppable.
Correct.
And I think you've got to be excited about what you're doing. If I'm trying to recruit somebody onto my team, uh, whether it be business, networking, whatever, if I'm not excited, if I don't have a vision, if I'm not passionate about what I'm doing, nobody's going to want to come work for me or be on my team or do anything like that. It is so key that we get excited about what we do, and that excitement spills out when we're talking to people. I don't think you can have a successful company if you don't have somebody leading the way that is passionate about what's going on, because there's going to be good days and bad days. There's going to be good weeks and bad weeks, good months and bad months. If you don't have passion about what you're doing, then you're going to get down. But if you got passion, you just keep pushing forward.
Correct.
Well, all right, let's move to number 7. We're kind of flying through. We got 10 of them, and we're on number 7. Leaders must be themselves. Leaders really know this. Be yourself. And I jotted a quote down that I think is so great. Oscar Wilde said, "Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken." I love that quote because there is so much truth to it. Can you pick up good qualities from other folks? Oh, absolutely. But don't try to be them.
Yeah.
You take those good qualities that you see and you want to emulate and just mix it in with you, but you've got to be you the whole time. I can't be Jordan. Jordan can't be Presley. I can't be Jim, or I can't be Bears. I've got to be me. Now, I can take good qualities from Jim and Bears and kind of add them into what I am. And absolutely, that's what we should be doing. But be content in yourself.
Correct. And I think the studies show that you can not be yourself in a business setting for 30 days. You can kind of fake it for 30 days, but after 30 days, you break down and the true self comes out. So the game plan there is do these things that we're talking about, read the good books, listen to that audio tape in the car. Personal growth is huge. And slowly over time, if you're lacking in an area, improve there. And then you won't be faking it using a bunch of extra energy trying to act like something you're not. Just take the time, take the hard approach, and actually put in the effort to personal growth and bettering yourself, and then you're unstoppable.
Yeah. I tell groups this all the time, that we're created in God's image. God put greatness inside each and every one of us. Now, so many people go to their grave with that greatness still in there, but it's there. We all have the ability to be a great leader. Just believe in yourself. And then, like Jordan was just pointing out, grow as a person. That is such a key to success, is growing as a person. And if you'll do that, and if you're passionate about what you do, the sky's the limit. The
Yep.
sky's the limit. What about number 8, Jordan?
Leaders are team players. This is a good one. I've never been on a good team in life where we didn't have a leader that was a team player that's in the trenches with you. It's very easy, as you work your way up the ladder, to want to get out of the trenches. We all do it. It's not the work we want to be doing, nor should leaders spend all of their time doing that. We need to be leaders should be on the best opportunity and pushing the organization forward. But you have to show support in the trenches to your teammate and let them know that you're there for them. And you have to be all in with your team. And that's what a team player is.
A guy that comes to mind that you played with is Mike Leake.
Yeah.
I mean, give folks a word on Mike and how you looked up to him, and he was the team guy.
Mike he's a character, to say the least, but Mike was a junior when I was a freshman. Murph, our head coach, wanted me to live with him to kind of learn from him. So as a freshman, Mike and I lived together. Mike was the 8th overall pick in 2009 and went straight to the big leagues. He's like the 21st player in the history of the Major League Baseball to go straight to the big leagues without spending any time in the minors. And you just looked up to him. He was a finalist for the Golden Spikes in 2009. He just did everything. He did everything right. He put in the work when nobody was looking. He was always there for the team, and he would always, he was my mentor and always there. Good times, bad times. And freshman year, I did well overall, but there were definitely peaks and valleys, and just always there to talk about it. Tell me what I should be doing. Tell me how to, get out of a slump, whatever it may be, and get back up on the horse and keep going. And that's what a team guy is.
This really doesn't have a lot to do with what we're talking about, but tell when you walked in and the stuff was sitting on your bed.
All the pots and pans.
Yeah.
Mike's a guy that he teaches you lessons, and if you're not listening, he's going to make sure you listen. So he was very neat and kept the place tidy. And as a freshman, you're just getting out of the house for the first time, and you're not really locked into those type things. So I left a bunch of crap. I think I cooked something and left it all in the dishwasher. And boy, when I got home, it's all sitting on my bed because I didn't clean it up and put it away. So you learn lessons quickly.
Yeah. We've all heard this acrostic that team together, everyone achieves more. I'm going to tell you that is key, guys. You got to understand that nobody accomplishes greatness by themselves. The other one that we've always heard is teamwork makes the dream work, and there's truth to that. Something I'm going to say about a leader too is that somebody comes up with a differing opinion to you or a differing idea than what you're thinking. I think instead of jumping on them and slamming them to the ground about having a differing idea than you as the leader has, just say something like, that's a little different. Help me understand how you came up with that.
Correct.
I just think as a leader, we want to be learning. The other thing is that you're going to want to get people pulling the rope the same way as the leader, and I think that's where that teamwork came in. I want you to throw one more sports story in here where y'all all went up and y'all were bending steel and doing all kinds of stuff. It created that teamwork there at Arizona State.
Correct. I'm trying to remember exact examples from that weekend, but
I know y'all put something on your throat and you're pushing, and
you put a piece of steel and you had another guy, and if you worked together and ran basically together, the steel would bend up. But man, you sure had to trust. And I trust is a big one.
Yep.
trust in your team, and we've said it a million times before, having the right people when it comes to a business setting, having the right person on the right seat is mandatory to take organizations to high levels. But it's trusting people, and that's what these exercises taught us as a team was trust. And you know, and it's huge in that setting, but it's huge when it comes to dollar signs in a business. To trust the people, let them do their job, and that's what leaders do. And if somebody's not doing their job, like you said, you pull them aside, you handle it the right way, and leaders build you up.
Yeah. And I'll end this point with this, guys. I think one of my keys to success is I always try to have people smarter than I am around me. Um,
Run with winners.
that's it. Don't be narcissistic and think you know the best of everything. You're the smartest guy in the room all the time. I'm telling you, you want to have people around you that know more than you do, that you can be learning from. Now, you're going to make the final decision if you're the leader, absolutely. But you want people around you that's giving you the good ideas, that think outside the box. I mean, it's just key to get the right people on the bus with you. And if you're in the room and you're the smartest person in there, you're with the wrong group of people.
Yeah.
I always say, show me who you run with, and I'm going to show you who you are or who you're going to be. You want to be running with people that improve you, that make you better, that you learn from. I think that is a huge key. All right, let's move to number 9. Leaders create stability and drive change. And if you look at that just on the surface, it looks like it's going in opposite directions: stability and drive change. But I think really what we've got to understand here is you've got to have a changeless core. You got to have, the thoughts of how you want your business to be that will never change. What are the basic keys that are always going to be there? But at the same time, you always have to be looking to the future and making tweaks and doing stuff. So you've got that core that everything is riding on, but you're always looking to make things better. Because in our world today, guys, if you're not changing with the times, if you're not growing and stuff, then the world is going to be brutal to you. I think when we were talking about the trucking business, you were talking about one company that amazing company, but they were getting behind because they weren't changing. They weren't keeping up with technology and stuff. Kind of mention that. You don't have to mention names, but
Definitely, just a big player in the game that's had a lot of success in the transportation space, and trying to this company's been trying to grow as of late, and to grow, you start working with the manufacturers, Mercedes, Ford, whatever it may be, and getting contracts. But the key to these contracts and having success is one, you got to do the job right. Um, that's always key. But two, there's got to be a bunch of communications and systems talking to systems so that everyone knows where every single VIN is as it's moving across the country. And this company, one of our friends went to help him out, but it's changing systems from within. You can't be stuck in the old stuff and doing everything old school. We've got to drive forward. We got to see the next step to get us where we need to go, and it's changing, whether it's technology, whether it's way of thinking, whether it's team members, whatever it may be. We've got to be moving forward. We've got to be driving change, and that's how you don't become extinct, I guess, in the business world. You can't keep doing what you did 10 years ago.
no, and you'll look around, a lot of companies that 10, 15 years ago were the biggest in the business, and they're not even here anymore.
Yeah, and that's what good to great. We talk a lot about books, but I guess you can see how key it is to be a lifelong learner. But good to great goes through example after example of companies. In 2000, they're here and here side by side. One company takes off, the other one goes backwards, and how much they outperform them due to the leadership of an organization.
Well, to kind of sum it up, leaders create stability and drive change. You've got that unwavering commitment to core values that you've got to keep for your company, but you're always looking to be ahead of the game. You're always looking for new technology or new products or new services or new whatever it happens to be. But guys, leaders are always uh, they're always keeping people focused on their core values while at the same time looking to make things better for their company.
Yep.
Well, number 10, Jordo, go for it.
This one kind of makes me laugh because, John Burnbury, he is always big on courage. Leadership requires courage. You're the one. Leaders are the face of organizations, and it takes courage because big decisions are on your shoulders, and you've got to believe, you've got to trust, and you've got to have courage.
Amen. The word courage derives from core, C-O-R, the Latin word for heart. Courage really just means strength of heart. And, I'll give a quick coaching thought here is when I would be coaching, sometimes at the beginning of the year, you'd have a new kid move in and might be 6'6", and they're out there warming up, just dunking the ball. And I mean, phenomenal athlete. And you'd be just, your heart would be pounding, man. You're thinking, oh my gosh, look at this kid. Then you'd get in a game and the game would get tough. And you couldn't find this 6'6" kid with all this talent. He would just shrink, just shrivel up. But then you'd have this 6'1", 6'2" skinny kid that doesn't look like much, and he would be scratching and clawing and giving you everything he had. I mean, he had the courage. And, courage doesn't mean that you're not scared or you're not a little intimidated by the moment. It just means you're a little scared and you're doing it anyway. Yeah. We all get scared. I don't care how much courage you have. You're going to have moments in your life where you're a little bit scared, but it just means do it anyway when you're scared. But, I always looked as a coach, I always looked for guys with heart, because you give me a team that they all have some heart and we'll do great things. We may not look the most impressive warming up, but when the game gets on the line, I know that my guys are going to be scratching, clawing, fighting, giving it everything they got to win that ball game. And I think that having courage, whether it be in sports or whether it be in business or whether it be in networking, because networking, understand, guys, you're going to be doing some stuff that you're not going to want to do, actually. I mean, you're going to have to make phone calls you don't want to make. You got to talk to people you may not really want to talk to. You're going to have to do some stuff that takes that courage. And in business, my gosh, there's always decisions having to be made that aren't the most popular, that really get your stomach. It just, your stomach starts twisting and turning because you got to make a tough decision for somebody. It just takes courage to be good at anything.
Yeah. And nothing great is accomplished in your comfort zone, and it takes courage to take that step out of your comfort zone to achieve greatness.
Amen. Well, I'm gonna go back and just recap real quick, and then we're done. Number one was leaders are forward looking. In other words, leaders cast vision. Leaders know what the dream is, and leaders can get that dream across to the team. Number two, leaders empower others to act. The foundational success of anything is action. I mean, you can have the greatest dreams and stuff in the world, and if you don't act on it, it's just a dream. But leaders empower others to act. Number three, leaders do what they want their team to do. I think it is so key to lead by example, because again, so many things in life is monkey see, monkey do, and if the leader's not doing it, the team's not going to do it. Not going to do it. Number four, leaders must have the will to win. My gosh, that just really boils down to total commitment, guys. If you got total commitment, you're going to figure out how. I always tell people that if you're really committed, if you really believe in it, if you really want it, you'll figure out how. If you don't really believe in it and really want it, you'll come up with an excuse. And I think that is key. Number five, leadership begins with the person and not the position. And that just goes to us growing as a person, Jordo. I mean, we just got to keep growing. Number six, leaders must have passion. I have passion about what I do. I mean, I wake up in the morning excited.
Anyone that's heard you speak in front of a room knows that you have passion.
Yes,
it's hard to hide it.
The veins get to bulging in my neck when I get to talking about stuff that I really believe in, and I do have passion. Number seven, leaders must be themselves. I think that is key. You can't be anybody else, but you take certain bits and pieces from people you respect and admire. And my gosh, I tell folks I very seldom come up with anything original. I have borrowed it from mentors and people I respect and people that I watch. I take all that stuff from them. Leaders are team players. I don't think anybody can accomplish greatness by themselves. I think you got to put a team together, and I think you got to be willing to be part of the team. Yes, you're the leader, but you got to be part of the team. Number 9, leaders create stability and drive change. You got to have your core beliefs, your core values, but you've always got to be looking to improve. And then number 10, leadership requires courage. Uh, I think that's our 10 traits of a great leader.
No, I think it's great information. It's stuff that really need to listen to and try to live in your life. It can get you so much further, um, just by being a leader and showing that courage and showing up every day and doing your best.
Amen.
So, guys, we thank you for joining in with us. We always love you. If you're still around, um, give us a comment. If we're bringing something positive to your life, tell us kind of what topics do you want to hear. We want to hear from you guys. Know what y'all want to hear. We are an open book. Any topic that y'all want to hear, we're more than happy to put on here. Obviously, if it applies to the stuff we're talking about, but give us a subscribe, give us a like to this video. It really helps the channel out, and we just appreciate everybody being here.
Amen. Well, God bless you guys.
Yes, thank y'all.